Let's bring in congressional correspondent Nancy Cordes from Capitol Hill. And Nancy, it sounded like more of what we have been hearing throughout this entire fiscal cliff process.
Well, what the president was being careful to say is that nothing is really agreed to until everything is agreed to. But what we are hearing here on Capitol Hill, Rebecca, is that the tax portion of these negotiations is essentially settled, that they have figured out the rates at which people will keep their Bush income tax cuts and which income levels they will lose them. They've also figured out where they want to get to on estate taxes. That was a big sticking point in these negotiations, and we're now told that the estate tax rate will go from 35%, where it is right now, to 40%. It's set to revert back to 55% if nothing is done, so it's going to go to 40% with a $5 million initial exemption. What officials are telling us up here is that they're still working on the spending cut portion, which you heard the president talk so much about. There are Republicans up here who are really frustrated that what was supposed to be a big deficit reduction bill doesn't have any spending cuts in it. In fact, might end up adding to the deficit rather than reducing it. And so the two sides are working together to try to figure out if they can come up with enough spending cuts to put off those across-the-board indiscriminate spending cuts in the sequester for 3 months, for 6 months. They're trying to see how far they can go, but they know they need to strike a deal quickly, because the longer that this hangs out here, the longer that you have members from the left and from the right grumbling, saying, I don't like this part of the deal, I don't like that part of the deal. So they really need to get this wrapped up and vote.
And to your point, Nancy, they have to find the money, the revenue to pay for the spending that may take place if they are able to prolong some of these spending cuts into the new year that the president mentioned.
That's right, and so that's what they're haggling over. And what we're being told right now is that it's possible that they won't have that agreement in time for the midnight deadline, or perhaps they'll have it in time for the Senate to vote tonight, but that we will technically go over the cliff, and the House might not be able to vote until tomorrow.